We got a great one for you today. Today we're talking lost songs, underrated classics, and B-sides that should have been A-sides, all coming from rock's mightiest band. I mean, it's a mystery how some of these tracks weren't bigger than they were. In the mix today, we're uncovering one of rock's holy grail songs, if not the holy grail of rock and roll. It's an epic song that could have rivaled this band's most iconic tracks, but it didn't make the cut for its album. It was broken up and scattered across at least 4 other songs, big songs. So you can hear parts of it, but what does the actual song sound like? And why wasn't it released? Especially since it had the potential to be this band's biggest anthem. This episode is packed with some of the best odds and ends and hidden gems from classic rock's most legendary band. It's coming up next on Professor of Rock. Hey, music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time, especially today. You know, if you know how to pronounce the band Kajagoogoo, you're going to dig this channel of deep musical nostalgia. That's a little joke from last week. Make sure to subscribe below right now. Click the notification bell so you know when our stuff comes out. I've also been wanting to do this for a long time, and it's finally here. You, the people, decide on who the greatest rock band of all time is. You need to vote, though. We'll be doing a daily head-to-head poll on ProfessorofRock.com for the next few weeks to set the seating for our bracket. It's really cool. Today's head-to-head matchup, or this week, is AC/DC versus the Smiths. Go to ProfessorofRock.com to make your vote heard. So for today's episode, we're returning to one of the greatest bands that we cover on this channel. Talk about the golden gods of rock, the mighty Led Zeppelin. Some of our biggest videos have come from these guys, the great ones. Immigrant Song, Good Times, Bad Times, Stairway to Heaven.
Good times, bad times, you know I had my share. Buying the stairway to heaven.
We've covered most of the classics. We've delved into all of their albums, I think. Except Presents. I don't think we've covered that. That's on the to-do list. But today I've got something else in mind. We're going to put away Kashmir, Whole Lot of Love, Black Dog, Stairway to Heaven, and all the rest of Zeppelin, especially Zeppelin 4. Only for a few hours, mind you. But today we're going to focus on Zeppelin tracks that have flown under the radar. For this episode, I've got a top 5, a list of them. Let's call it a collection of Zeppelin's underrated classics, their hidden gems. Included is what might have been the band's most epic song, but it was never released. But it's the holy grail of rock. Let's get into it. Coming in at number 5, I gotta go with Traveling Riverside Blues. You know, while the members of Led Zeppelin were still together, they rarely offered non-album B-sides up to the public. You know, Zeppelin had a history of keeping their rare material under wraps at that time. So, you know, when the band released their first ever box set a decade after their breakup, it was a monumental moment. I remember when my dad bought it and brought it home. The 50-plus track collection, it dropped on October 8, 1990, and it marked the first significant remastering of Led Zeppelin's catalog. Among the many familiar favorites, the set contained 2 previously unreleased tracks, White Summer, Black Mountainside, and Traveling River Blues. Which of course is a reinterpretation of blues legend Robert Johnson's classic. He recorded it on June 20th, 1937, and then the song gained even greater recognition when it was included on King of the Delta Blues Singers in 1961. Led Zeppelin's rendition, it's a powerful tribute, fusing Robert Johnson's blues legacy with the band's signature rock intensity. It highlights Zeppelin at their early creative peak, driven by Robert Plant's commanding vocals and, of course, Jimmy Page's iconic guitar work, capturing the raw energy that really defined their sound. Plant's lyrics echo Johnson's themes, referencing lemon squeezing and incorporating parts of Kind-Hearted Woman blues.
Squeeze my lemon till the juice runs down my leg.
Zeppelin added the song to their repertoire early on, recording a version on June 24, 1969 for the complete BBC sessions in London. However, that recording remained legally connected to the BBC until a deal was struck for its release.
Squeeze inside.
A promo single of Traveling Riverside Blues was issued in 1990 with the set, and it climbed to number 7 on the Billboard mainstream rock chart here in the U.S. Actually, a music video of the song was shot in October of 1990, and combined footage from the song remains the same with historical clips of the band. Traveling Riverside Blues was also made a bonus track on the deluxe edition of the Coda album in 2015, along with our next track. So let's get into number 4. Coming in at number 4 on my list, I've got If It Keeps On Raining. Now for the Zeppelin faithful, this song title has a familiar ring to it. That's because it's an early version of Zeppelin 4's legendary closer, When the Levee Breaks.
Keeps on raining, levee's gonna break.
If It Keeps On Raining showcases a stripped down and more traditional blues arrangement of When the Levee Breaks, kind of offering a behind-the-scenes look at the song's development. Raining is one of a few tracks from Zeppelin's recent reissues that has a significantly different take on a familiar song. Both tracks are based on the 1929 blues classic When the Levee Breaks by Kansas Joe McCoy and Memphis Minnie, which was written about the devastating Great Mississippi Flood of 1927.
If it keeps on raining, levee's going to break.
Led Zeppelin reinterpreted the original, creating a heavy, apocalyptic blues rock masterpiece. As an earlier take, If It Keeps On Raining comes closer to the original blues style, with significant lyrical and musical differences from the final version. It's less thunderous as John Bonham's monster drums are restrained here. The tempo is also slowed really dramatically, tuning the song into a heavy hypnotic groove, and then there's the John Paul Jones killer bass line. Check this out. If It Keeps On Raining is a fascinating snapshot of Led Zeppelin's creative process, capturing in 4+ minutes how they reworked a traditional blues classic into a monumental rock standard. Okay, coming in at number 3, I've got an album cut here, and I've got to go with this one because this is one of my favorite Zeppelin songs of all time. I actually have shown this to 5 different people who were not fans of Zeppelin. In fact, they were very critical of the band. I show them this song, and it opened their mind to Zeppelin. Now it's one of their favorites. I had to throw this one in because I don't think it gets enough love. It's a song that invented a popular genre 15 years before Nirvana even hit. Number 3 from side 3 of Physical Graffiti, I've got 10 Years Gone. And this showcases why Robert Plant is one of the greatest vocalists of all time, if not the greatest, in the top 3 for sure. It's a retrospective track and a Zeppelin masterpiece, completely underappreciated. We actually did a full episode on this one, and I'll link to it below, but breaking down Robert Plant's backstory of how a former girlfriend gave him an ultimatum between he and his music. A decade later, Robert wrote this song reflecting on what might have been. It's a very emotional song. You can get the full story below, but for this segment, I want to take things in a different direction. I want to connect this song and Led Zeppelin to the next generation of rock. Something I've been thinking about a lot lately, something I wish baby boomers and Gen X would do more of. I mean, musically, we have so much in common. 80s and 90s rock is indebted to the 60s and 70s for sure, but at the same time, it also pays tribute to the 60s and the 70s. Allow me to use 10 Years Gone as an example to defend a genre that gets a lot of unwarranted hate. Grunge. Zeppelin's exploration of heavy riffs, haunting melodies, and emotionally intense vocals helped lay the foundation for grunge, no question, in addition to punk and alternative rock influences. I mean, listen to the first 30 seconds of this song. You play it back to back with Pearl Jam's Alive, you can hear the influence perfectly. You'll notice that the song's structure of 10 Years Gone moves from quiet, delicate guitar passages to powerful, soaring rock sections.
Do you ever remember me, baby?
I mean, this contrast between soft and heavy dynamics, it was central to grunge's signature sound, something that bands like Pearl Jam, Nirvana, Soundgarden, and many others would employ very well in the decade and a half after. Likewise, Jimmy Page's multi-layered guitar work in 10 Years Gone paved the way for a similar textured guitar approach in grunge. Similar approaches. During the song's climaxes, Jimmy Page layers heavy, distorted chords that create a wall of sound, making the emotional high points feel larger than life. You can't even believe what you're hearing. And from a lyrical perspective, 10 Years Gone is deeply personal, very vulnerable, as Robert Plant contemplates lost love and really the passage of time so perfectly. The song's introspective tone mirrors the emotional weight later found in songs like Nutshell from Alice in Chains.
Got so far to go. No place to go home.
Grunge had its fair share of regret and longing, personal struggles, and inner conflict. But then again, Zeppelin had that to the max. 10 Years Gone's gradual progression and poignant lyrics create a deeply moving experience.
And how it used to be.
It's a completely underappreciated track, not only for its own brilliance, but also for its influence on future generations. I mean, the Seattle Big Four, Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, and Alice in Chains all acknowledged their debt to Led Zeppelin, and so many other Gen X bands. And this song is it's pretty much it in a nutshell, not to throw a pun out there. All these young kids love Greta Van Fleet. In fact, I had my son's friend was over the other day, and this kid was telling me how overrated Zeppelin is and how great Greta Van Fleet is. And I about jumped out of my skin, but as I did, I showed him 10 Years Gone, and his mind was blown. And I said, Greta Van Fleet is a carbon copy of the real thing. Why drink from the stream when you can go to the river, when you can go to the ocean? I mean, that's Zeppelin for you. And I don't get it. I think it's cool, the Greta Van Fleet. I think they're a good band. But to compare them to the mighty Zeppelin, it's blasphemy, I tell you, blasphemy. But 10 Years Gone, I can't say enough about it. I love it. Shifting gears, coming in at number 2, I've got a throwaway song that never should have been thrown away. It's called Hey Hey What Can I Do? And I tell you, I don't know how the hell this didn't land on an album or get released as a single. Now, the story of Hey Hey What Can I Do goes back to the dawn of the 70s, singer-songwriter era. The band was working on Led Zeppelin 3, and according to Jimmy Page, the band worked on 17 separate tracks during the sessions for their third album. Out of these, 10 made the cut. Among those that did not were songs like The Rover and Down by the Seaside, which would both be found on Physical Graffiti later. And then there was No Quarter, a John Paul Jones project that made it onto Houses of the Holy. All great songs. And then there was Hey Hey What Can I Do? A song that I think is top tier Zeppelin. I really think it could have been a number 1 hit. I'll tell you why in just a second. But Hey Hey What Can I Do was written by Page and Plant at Bron-Yr-Aur and Headley Grange. They recorded it at Island Studios on the same day as Immigrant Song, and allegedly Hey Hey What Can I Do was written and recorded to be a standalone single. I don't know what happened. That plan never materialized, and it would be chosen to back Immigrant Song as its B-side in November 1970, which could arguably, you could say, is one of the greatest two-sided singles ever, right up there with the Beatles stuff. Hey Hey What Can I Do would get passed over for every Zeppelin album thereafter, including Coda, which was a collection of previously unreleased Zeppelin material. It's a serious head-scratcher. Hey, Hey, What Can I Do did finally end up on the deluxe version of Coda decades later. But I mean, poor Tom made it on the Coda, and it was written during the same sessions as Hey, Wait, What Can I Do? To me, it doesn't make sense why this song was repeatedly passed over. I think it deserves the title of the best B-side of the 70s. That's how the 70s were. You threw away great songs. Hey, Hey, What Can I Do really stands out for its acoustic country blues, folk rock feel, and its narrative storytelling. Led Zeppelin's singer-songwriter moment, if you will. The song tells the story of a man in love with a woman he can't control, lamenting her lifestyle. I got a woman, she won't be true now. The lyrics depict heartaches and frustration, themes common in blues music, but here they are delivered with a reflective, folky twist. And for a long time, Hey, Hey, What Can I Do was the ultimate in Zeppelin rarities. Aside from the very single copies, the only other record you could hear it on was a 1972 UK rock sampler called The New Age of Atlantic. Hey, Hey, What Can I Do? Scarcity only added to its appeal and its mystique. By the time it finally found its way into Zeppelin's complete studio recordings in 1993, fans were all but salivating. Later in 2007, the band also released the track along with the rest of their back catalog. Finally, in 2015, Hey, Hey, What Can I Do? Like I said, it landed on the Coda reissue. But had it been released in the 70s, right when the singer-songwriter era was in full swing, I really feel it could have been a #1 hit, but we'll never know. All right, we're to #1. For my #1 Led Zeppelin hidden gem, I have what is the holy grail of lost Led Zeppelin tracks, and it could be the holy grail of all rock tracks. For this one, we got to head back to the creation of Zeppelin's iconic double LP Physical Graffiti. Among the several songs that were worked on for this 83-minute powerhouse record was an anthemic track called Swan Song. This would-be epic could have potentially been an all-time Zeppelin classic, possibly even rivaling Kashmir or Stairway to Heaven. Jimmy Page took the lead on this one. Page envisioned an ambitious instrumental piece with multiple movements and orchestration. Describing, he said, and I quote, "I had a song called Swan Song, which was a whole piece with various different moves and moods. Had acoustic guitar, then it went into like electric parts, then back to acoustic parts. But most of this epic was still in the conceptual phase. But 2 of the track's instrumental sections were recorded in February 74, though according to Page, these weren't done with any real conviction because the project was so complicated. Page also revealed that he had hoped to lengthen out Swan Song with more movements and was thinking about having Robert Plant get behind the mic for this one as well. However, Swan Song never got too far off the ground. It was potentially undercut by another song on the album, our #3 pick, 10 Years Gone. How's that for a callback? The 2 emerging pieces bore some stylistic similarities, and Zeppelin, flush with a wealth of extraordinary material, they decided to shelve Swan Song in favor of 10 Years Gone. But that doesn't mean that Page wasn't above stripping the track for parts. In fact, he created 4 other songs from this epic song. According to the guitarist, one of Swan Song's guitar riffs made it on the all-time classic Kashmir during the sessions at Headley Grange. Think about that for a minute. That's just one song. Speaking about the riff, Page said it still had a lot of shaping to do, but he knew that there was something there that could work. And it became really obvious when he and Bonham started working on it together. Swan Song would show up in other places as well. For example, Zeppelin's new record label launched on May of 74, said Page about it, "I've been recording this long instrumental and someone shouted, 'What's the title?' And I shouted back, 'Swan Song.' And everybody stopped and said what a good name that would be for the album. From there, it got carried over to being the name of our label." Page never fully abandoned the idea of Swan Song, apparently. And he continued to fuse elements of this epic track with other songs. Not only Kashmir, but White Summer, Black Mountainside during Zeppelin's 1977 tour was another one. But then after John Bonham's death, the surviving members of Zeppelin, they packed it in, of course, and they left Swan Song unfinished, but not forgotten. Jimmy Page continued to work on the idea of Swan Song during his post-Zeppelin career. During the 1983 Arms charity tour, he performed Bird on a Wing with Paul Rodgers, featuring chord structures reminiscent of Swan Song. And then later, when Page and Paul Rodgers formed the Firm, the piece evolved again and it became Midnight Moonlight, a track that closed the band's debut album in 1985. Said Page, and I quote, "It was reworked with Paul Rodgers, who supplied some inspired lyrics, and it became Midnight Moonlight." So for those of you keeping track at home, Swan Song is such an epic song, it's been used to write 4 other songs, namely Kashmir, part of Kashmir, White Summer, Black Mountainside, Bird on a Wing, and Midnight Moonlight. All these years later, Swan Song, it remains unfinished, and it continues to be the holy grail of Zeppelin's vast catalog. It's easily the most intriguing what could have been song of the 70s. Will we ever hear it in its finished form? Well, I don't know. The new Zeppelin documentary, could that shed some light on it? Maybe. We'll see. By the way, if you haven't heard, Zeppelin has a new documentary coming out called Becoming Led Zeppelin. It's an independent production made with the full cooperation of the band, including an unreleased interview with John Bonham. I am so excited for this. It's actually the very first time that Led Zeppelin has agreed to participate in a biographical documentary. A rough cut was screened at the 78th Venice Film Festival back in 2021. And get this, it got a 10-minute standing ovation. It's coming out here in America in February. I'll link to tickets below if there is a link. I'll look it up. There are my 5 picks, Led Zeppelin's most underappreciated tracks. What do you think? Do you agree? What are your 5? We're just scratching the surface on this one. Zeppelin's studio album catalog is supplemented by a lengthy list of bonus material, bootlegs, great songs. Which of the other songs should I cover on here? Let's take a vote below. Thanks so much for watching. Leave us a comment about Led Zeppelin and these hidden gems. Again, will we ever get Swan Song? What are your memories of these songs? Let us know in the comments below. If you dig our content, we invite you to subscribe. Love to have you as part of our community. Go vote. Best band, ProfessorRock.com. Till next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends.